The federal government is giving your newborn $1,000. That's real. It started this weekend. Over 6 million accounts have already been opened. And for once, this isn't a fight video. The idea behind this program is one both parties have been pushing in different forms for years. There's a lot here and it's genuinely good. However, there's one detail in the fine print, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I think it's something that the parents need to understand that could be costing your child later. Let's talk about the basics. Trump accounts launched on July 4th. They were created by big tax and spending bill Congress passed last summer. So this went through Congress, our representative voted on it, and the president signed it about a year ago. So let's talk about how it works. Every eligible child born between 2025 and 2028 gets a one-time $1,000 deposit from the federal government. Parents, family, and friends can add up to $5,000 a year on top. Employers can chip in $2,500, and that part doesn't count as a taxable income. The money has to go through low-cost funds that track your S&P 500 or broad U.S. stocks. By law, the fees are capped at 0.1%. The account belongs to the child. A parent runs it until they are 18, and the money's locked up until then. 6 million accounts have been opened up so far. 1.4 million kids getting the seed money, and private money is pouring in. Michael Dell and his wife pledged $6.25 billion funding deposits for 25 million kids in lower and middle class zip codes. This sounds like a win for everybody, but as we have learned from the past and from how the world works, what's the catch? So, quick pause here. If you like this kind of news and anything you guys would like to talk about more, please like and subscribe. Message us. I love talking to people. I would love to set up interviews. I want to hear from the common person, and I want to hear all ideas. Any part of the political spectrum that you are on, I want to know about it and have a discussion. A peaceful, real discussion. Let's start with the obvious. $1,000 investment in an index fund at birth, that's real money. Left alone for 18 years in an ordinary market returns, that seed alone grows to somewhere around $6,000. The White House's own economists say a family maxing out contributions could see $300,000 by 18. But the direction is right. Compounding is the closest thing to money as to magic. And starting at birth, that's the entire trick. Second, the index fund. The index fund rule is generally a good design. The law forces the money into boring, low cost, diversified funds. No fee churning products, no exotic bets on somebody's meme coin. Whoever wrote that line protected millions of kids from financial industry's worst instincts, and they deserve credit for this. And third, the idea itself has a bipartisan soul, because giving every baby a government seated investment account, that was a Democratic proposal first. These ideas are incredible. I think it will incentivize more people to have kids. I think it makes it easier, especially as the kids get older, and you're having the government finally step in and help out. When you turn 18, you're going off to college, going into a trade school, any part of life that you decide, you have a little bit of money to fall back on, and it could help grow our culture, grow our society, grow families. This is all a beautiful idea. And the fact that it is being signed under Trump and he's pushing this forward, I think is a great sign. So we as a culture need to come together, and people talk about family values. I'm not going to get into all that. But if you have a family and you know that when your kid turns 18, you have money to help them with what they need. Like I said, whether it's college, trade, travel, I don't care. Travel gives you experience and life experience. I think all these things are important. So let's look at the Democratic version. Two economists, Derek Hamilton and William Darity, designed the idea back in 2010. Senator Cory Booker turned into a bill the American Opportunity Account Act in 2018 and kept reintroducing it for years. Booker's Booker's version. Every baby gets the same $1,000 seed, but then this is the difference. The government keeps depositing money every year up to $2,000 on a sliding scale based on family income. The poorest kids get the most. By 18, the lowest income kids would have around $46,000. That's incredible seed money. When you are starting your adult life with that kind of money, your opportunities just grow. So look at the two designs side by side. Booker's version pushes hardest for kids starting with the least. The Trump version gives everyone the same seed. Then growth depends on what your family can afford to add to it. A family that can spare $5,000 a year builds their kid a six-figure account. A family that can't add anything to it past the seed, their kid ends up with a few thousand. Connecticut State Treasurer, who runs the country's only real baby bonds program, put it bluntly: the wealthy family builds a $150,000 nest egg. The low-income kid gets about 2,500. Same seed, very different tree depending on the soil. And let's give credit what credit is due. Booker didn't take the ball and go home. Now he's out there with Ted Cruz, of all people, urging Fortune 500 companies to fund these accounts for workers' kids. That's what it looks like. Somebody cares more about the kids than the credit. So here's the fine print I promised you. Here it is for your own money. This account is worse off than a regular brokerage account. So let's explain this in simple terms. The $1,000 seed money over the course of 18 years is awesome. Take the money from the government, it works. However, most people are not going to be able to afford to put $5,000 a year into this account. It's going to cost you money later on. The accountants already know this. The wealthy already know this. If you could afford to put $5,000 in this, you could afford to put it into another version of this, whether it is an IRA. The Cato Institute ran the numbers. The same investment over 30 years comes at about $2,500 worse than in a Trump account in a regular taxable account, and far worse than in a 529 college plan or Roth IRA, which are actually tax advanced. Morningstar found the same thing. Add the kicker: your kid pulls up out of a lump sum at 18 for college, and that withdrawal will shove them into a higher tax bracket in the exact year that they will need every dollar. So the strange truth about this program is a free $1,000 is great. An account often in the wrong place for your own savings. A savings account that's worse than ordinary savings for the saver's own money. This is a genuine design flaw, and fixing it would take one line in the tax code. Is it a design flaw that is on purpose? Is it a design flaw that is overlooked? It would be hard pressed for me to say that it was overlooked. If your kid was born in 2025 or later, open the account. Take the $1,000. It's free. Invest it sensibly, and it'll be a nice gift at 18. If your employer contributes, take that. That's part of the genuine tax friendly. But your own money, for most family, a 529 plan or a Roth IRA beats this account, sometimes by a lot. Take the seed. Skip the contributions. This is not political. That's just the math behind it. It's the same advice analysts across the spectrum would have landed on. Let's take a step back again. And a Democratic senator for 7 years pushing this baby bonds could not get a vote. A Republican president renamed the idea, changed the design, and made it a law. The design has real flaws. It does not, for most families who already have the most, the fine print undercuts the middle. But for 69 million kids can now hold a piece of a market, and both parties are, for once, pulling in the same direction. Great idea, imperfectly executed, worth fixing rather than fighting over. If we graded every policy that way on what it does instead of who its name is on it, we'd be in a very different country. So this is a great idea. It's a great idea for families. It's a great investment to families. It's a great investment for kids for the future. However, there's always going to be little things that we have to read and understand them a little bit better. And if those are the areas that we miss, and those are the ones that they're not talked about or overlooked, you can see how later it could benefit you, but not benefit you fully the way you want it. And I think that this could be fixed. When we finally get to a system where the both sides are pulling on the same side of the rope, and we have an idea like this, and it starts to get put into law and put into practice, instead of throwing the entire thing out, we fix it. We just move it a little bit and see what works best for everybody. This is Jared. This is The View from Here. See you on the next one. Like and subscribe.